If you want to envision the future for yourself and figure out what's next and what you want the future to be about for you, you need just 5 words.
Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Ramsey!
Marshall, so good to see you yet again, even though it's been literally 5 minutes since we stopped recording the last episode. But I love it when we do this and get a bunch of stuff in the can and we all wear the same shirts for multiple episodes. It just helps us, look like we have some stability.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And for the record, out of 250 plus episodes, this shirt has been in like 248 of them.
Right.
Yeah. And now people are like, oh, I got to go back and look. Oh, yeah. It's the same shirt.
Please do. And watch the episodes over and over and over again.
Yes. Replay. I like it. All right. So this 5 words.
Yeah.
We're going to have a visioning retreat. We're going to get, everybody off site. We're gonna have psychedelic mushrooms, campfires, and we're gonna come up with our vision. Should take 3 to 4 days.
Sweat lodge, yeah, I like all of this. I think I have done it. This very exercise in an offsite. In fact, I use this to prime the pump for an offsite.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that gives you a little hint of where we're going. This is an exercise. It's a document that you can create, but it's really about the exercise of going through it that make it worthwhile. And the general idea here is just like get it out of your head. You got all these thoughts swimming around in your head. Just get it out of your head and put it down on paper. It's for a couple reasons that you would do this. The first is we've talked about this many times on the podcast that you want a parking lot. You just want to, as a team, we keep forgetting to do XYZ. We'll put XYZ on a to-do list and come back to it at the next meeting and see if you've done it or not, right? Put it on a parking lot. So when it's on that document, it's not swimming around in your head, taking up room in your thoughts. And you can come back to it later. So get it out of your head. That's one thing you get out of doing this. And the other thing is, once it is on paper, you can start arranging it, right? You start to see like, ooh, there's some overlap here. There's some themes. These 3 things actually don't matter that much to me, but these 2 do. And so it gives you a chance to kind of play with it when you see it on paper like that. So that's why I think this is a big deal.
No, I think it's huge, right? How many times have I had, people, leaders tell me, here's my vision, and say, well, can I see it in writing? Well, it's kind of in my head. Well, and that means that we probably haven't adequately shared it with the team, the people who are in charge of making sure the vision becomes a reality.
Exactly right.
And sometimes they'll tell you, oh man, yeah, I thought about it the other day and I came up with something really great and I can't remember what it was. I can't remember how exactly I said it, and you're like, I should have wrote it down. Yes,
please do.
We're agreeing 100%.
Yeah, I love that. And I am guilty of that all the time. We talk about shower thoughts and riding lawnmower thoughts. And, it's like somehow you're going to have to stop and record some of this stuff and get it on paper. So this is an exercise to help you do that. 5 words. And it's quite simple. I've got a worksheet with directions that I can send anybody who wants to email me from the show notes. We've got our email addresses down there. But it's very simple. You have 5 columns, and each column is filling in the blank for this sentence. I would like to, and then here are the 5 words. I would like to be, so you've got a column, maybe 10 slots where you're filling that out. I would like to be blank. The next column, the second word, I would like to do XYZ, whatever those things are. Fill in those blanks. I would like to have. Fill in those blanks. Fourth, I would like to help. fill in those blanks. And I would like to leave and fill in those blanks. Credit to Brian Brown, my coach, um, with Coaching to Lead. I'll put his information in the show notes as well because he has a whole a huge amount of curriculum that has this at some of the origin points, and that this is where I harvested the idea from. But that's it. It's I would like to be, I would like to do, I would like to have, I would like to help, and I would like to leave. So so those are the five words.
Well, and I like it. The whole premise of each question is aspirational.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, that's I love the idea of I would like to, right? This is what we're building towards.
Yep.
And so, and I could answer these questions. A lot of times they tell you to have your vision in a present tense,
Yeah.
but before you can get to that, it has to be an aspirational idea. And then
You nailed it.
then I can change it around. So I would like to be, and man, you think about all the cool words that could come after that. I would like to be known for. I would like to be seen. I would like to, provide. I would like to
Yep.
be,
More confident. I mean, yeah, people go all over the map with this,
yeah, yeah,
which is the point, right?
yeah, yeah. So I'm getting, yeah, they're thinking through, right? I haven't thought about the answer to this question.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is really good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on. Spot on. So we could talk about some examples of this, like we've been doing. Um, and I will say it this way. I've got a few words of wisdom for how you go about filling it out. The first is to be playful about it. Don't make this too serious. Don't make this like you're etching something in stone here. Um, you know, have fun. Let your creativity go wherever you want it to go. It's not like this is a legal document. You're just playing with this and like, what would I like to be? What would I like to have? And you're going to see some things unlock, especially as you force yourself to fill in 10 blanks on each of these. Right, the farther you go, the weirder sometimes it gets, and you eventually might get to a place where you're like, oh, actually, that's it. So be playful,
Mm-hmm.
as you fill out the document.
So when you do this, do the people write sentences or are they just putting down keywords?
Most of the time, they're just putting down keywords,
Okay, okay.
and that might lead to a coaching conversation. Like, oh, you said, like, um, I had somebody say they wanted to leave bitterness. And I can't remember if they put bitterness in relationships or just bitterness, but I said, what's behind that word? And it led into this big discussion about a couple relationships that had been very tough in the workplace, and they were trying to move beyond them. And so oh, wow, okay, there's a gap that we need to coach to, right, and help somebody overcome something that's in their way.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the habits and mindsets that would help them do that? So yeah, it can spill into a whole bunch, but the idea here is just to quickly get down some of these, words that come out of your head as you're thinking through the five different areas.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can even use our technique from the previous episode. So
Yeah.
somebody writes bittersweet, and yeah, you could go, wow, that's a very powerful word.
Yes.
See where it goes.
Yep.
Right?
That's it. That you nailed it. You nailed it. This is a minefield of great coaching opportunities. I guess you shouldn't say a minefield. This is a treasure trove.
Oh,
It's a
there you go.
yeah, yeah.
Treasure
Uh,
trove sounds much better than blowing people up.
right. So so be playful. Another thing is just to be purposeful as you go through this. So what I mean about that is, you're thinking about what you'd like to see accomplished, right? It is aspirational, and it might be from a perspective of things that you want to see accomplished in you or through you to the people and the world around you.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some outcomes, some characteristics that come to mind. I want to. I sort of have this as an example of these are answers that I've had given to me, and I've put them into my little directions document. Examples. I would like to be an encouraging dad. I'm coaching somebody about the workplace, and they're talking about they want to be a better dad. Okay, I want to do more charity work. Right, that comes up. I want to have, you know, a lot of people say have a raise, or have more money. We'll get more specific. What do you want to do with that money? Well, have a hobby room. I've always been into woodworking, and whatever that is. I want to help my employees save more money. I get that a lot where clients are saying, man, they just don't take advantage of our matching funds for the 401k and things like that. And like I said, leave, it might be leave bitterness in relationships. Bottom line is there are no wrong answers here, but you got to be really purposeful. You got to be playful, but you got to be purposeful about the things that you're aspiring to.
Oh no, I like that a lot. So could you do it from at different levels? You could do this as an individual, like a personal vision. You can do it as a department vision, or you could do it as an all-encompassing organizational vision.
Yes, and if you remember, Mike, years and years ago, a program that is now defunct, uh, called GM Standards for Excellence. It still exists, but it doesn't have a facilitator anymore who comes into the to the organization to help them. But one of the things that we did one year was to give everybody sticky notepads that said "I wish,"
Yep.
and we would have them all fill it out and slap it down onto a wall, and then we'd start to look for themes and start putting them together. Like I said, you don't just park these ideas on sticky notes, you arrange them. And so that's exactly what happened. And I'll never forget, look at that, you've even got an I wish statement sticky pad still with you. How beautiful that is.
Yes. Yes. Vintage.
I finally used up my last ones during the pandemic, but anyway. Um, but I'll never forget. I had a gentleman say, you know what? I'll even say the name. I wish Mr. Martin were still alive. And he was from a store that was part of the Martin Group. Cornelius Martin had passed away in a terrible motorcycle accident, and his organization, a lot of Saturn stores and some other organizations, were really missing him and his leadership. Well, okay. Now that one can't, we can't bring him back to life, but think of all the coaching opportunities that come out of that, right? What do we miss with Mr. Martin being gone?
Mm-hmm.
And what's it going to take for us to overcome that, right? So be playful, right? That was a playful answer. Mr. Martin's not coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's playful to think of that, if I can respectfully say that. And so I wish I had a time machine. I would like to have a time machine. Well, what do you want out of that time machine? What would that get you?
Mm-hmm.
And more good comes out of that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What were the things, the elements that Mr. Martin brought to our organization, that were missing and or we could recreate?
Exactly. Exactly.
And yeah, all of a sudden, yeah, you're having these fantastic conversations.
Yeah. One last thing on my three P's here: be playful, be purposeful. I would argue be prayerful. If you have any such a faith, you would really like the Creator to be a part of this process, so that it's not you in little meville having a discussion about all the things that you want, but like, what might God be trying to accomplish in you and through you, and let that be a part of this process. It would be silly not to, right? If unless this world is really all there is, it would be a little silly to not say, well, I would really like my impact to be as long lasting as possible. So so be prayerful about it as you're being purposeful and playful.
Oh yeah, when I see this as coming back to it multiple times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through it, and wow, I hadn't thought about some of these, and then I'm gonna go through it a second time, and maybe I'm marking out some words or moving some words, and as a higher priority,
That's it.
And then right, maybe it starts to come down to, all right, so what are some things that I'm currently doing that demonstrate these things?
Yeah.
And then maybe it's sentences or a summary sentence that kind of sums all this up.
You just might get to where it's a true vision statement. You might get to where it's a SMART goal, which we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about on the podcast many times. And for that reason, I would just argue, uh, use a pencil. Use a pencil. This is something that you could come back to again and again over the years. You can add, erase, change. This is about the exercise. It's not about making it a final document. It's getting it out, and figuring out what's important to you. So that's it. And I'm happy to send it to people. Our email addresses are in the show notes, and so if anybody wants to email me for a copy of my directions and my little form that I use, happy to send that out.
Oh yeah. Well, I like the timing of this. We're in the middle of summer,
Yep.
right, which is often a transition for people.
Hmm.
People, the kids are going maybe from middle school to high school or high school to college, things like that.
Yep.
What a wonderful exercise as a summer discussion project with your kids. Of course, as always with your employees and coworkers and things like that. But yeah, kind of a neat timing on this. That yeah, how neat a conversation would this be to have
I love that.
with
Yeah.
people who are important in your life?
Great idea. Great idea.
Cool.
Well,
Speaking of people who are important in our life,
100%.
oh yeah, our announcer, always there for us, never fails. Please take it away, Mr. Wolf.
I would like to be him.
And that, I guess, is that. It doesn't take a genius. No rights reserved, nothing trademarked, copyrighted, or even original. Feel free to give it to anyone, anytime, using any and all media formats. Warning, Mark and Mike may or may not make another one. I'm your announcer, and I did not get paid a nickel to do this. They won't even let me tell you my name. So until next time, if there is a next time, stay safe, be well.
That's good enough.